So today I'm going to, actually let me ask you all, this is very unscripted by the way, how many of you were in KubeCon Amsterdam for my keynote there? All right, a few of you, awesome. We're going to actually set up something similar for my keynote. But today we're going to talk about improve your agent accuracy with agent skills. How many of you know what agent scale is? All right, that's awesome. So what are AI agents? When you think about AI agents, what are the things I want you to have in your head? What are the things you think about? For me, it's A and C. It's not your AC in your room. It's A, I think it's about autonomous. C is about conversation. Well, you can have a natural conversation with the agent, and the agent can perform autonomously some task for you. What are the AI agents? To me, there are a couple of key building blocks for the AI agents, and they are code, which makes up a logic portion of your agents, the system prompts where you give the instruction to your agents, and the large language model you need to configure your agents to use, and also MCP tools where your agent may need to have access to external systems and certain tools to have control to the MCP tools. Sorry, I don't have a clicker, which is why. Challenges with AI agents. What are the top challenges of AI agents in your mind? Anyone? What?
Hallucination.
That's right, hallucination. I think it's going back to the reliability problem, right? Any other guesses? All right, I'm going to share with me my perspective. I think it's observability, right? You want to know how your agent is working. So that's the first thing you want to ask yourself. Is the agent actually doing the work? How can I see what's going on with my agent? A is also accuracy and reliability, to your point about hallucination. And S is about security and privacy, because you want your agent to execute in a sandbox environment. This is why Nemo Cloud was announced recently, providing that open shell sandbox environment to OpenCloud. The other one is identity and trust. Can you trust the agent? Is it allowed to do what you intended to do? Wow, what's going on? Sorry about that. Agent skills. How many of you know have actually built your agent skills? All right, a few of you. I also built a very simple one myself. In a nutshell, what I love about agent skills is it's very simple to build. It has all the building blocks we all familiar with, .md file, right? Everybody all create an MD file if you all agree, right? You can also include scripts in your agent skills. You can also have references and assets, which is very cool to provide additional context to your AI agents. What are the biggest challenges of MCP today? Any guesses? Nobody? Too many challenges? Yeah, that's right. It is a lot of challenges. I think the biggest challenge with MCP is the context bloat, right? Consume too many contexts. Every single MCP tool is loaded into by your agent. It's consume a lot of context. The other challenge is how do we run MCP in production? How do we actually handle MCP as a stateful protocol? The MCP community is involving MCP to be stateless in the next version of MCP, which they expect to release, I think, in June timeframe. So those are the two biggest challenges, in my opinion. But so if you go to the roadmap, I'm not going to have time to go there, but you can see the development roadmap where you will see, like, from stateful to stateless is like one of the biggest thing. The second biggest thing is retry and timeout. To be able to, if it doesn't work, can we retry and timeout? And we saw this with microservices a lot, right? And MCP gateway, I think, can really fill in a lot of gaps for your MCP because the MCP server is on, the protocol is under development. It's rapidly changing from stateful to stateless, from not having retry to timeout to adding retry and timeout. MCP protocol has OAuth support. This is something you can delegate to a gateway, like agent gateway, to produce retry and timeout for you, to implement OAuth for you, to actually transition you from different MCP protocol versions without needing you to make any change to your MCP server. So I think the gateway pattern can provide that security, observability, and the governance for your MCP server. It can also compose multiple of your MCP server into one virtual MCP server. You can also implement code mode in the MCP gateway to reduce the context flow problem of MCP. So the agent gateway pattern, I definitely recommend when you use MCP in production. It's same as you don't run your microservices without an API gateway or something in between, a proxy to mediate the traffic. And the same applies to AI agents and MCP. Now, when I think about MCP and the agent skills, I was thinking, they're kind of similar, right? MCP provide tools your agent can use. Agent skills provide additional context to your AI agents. What are the commonality actually confused me for a while is with MCP, you can involve the tools to do something, but with agent skills, it can include scripts, which could include binaries and to do something too. So when do you use that? It comes to me recently, I think they are definitely complementary. I don't think agent skill is replacing MCP. What MCP really shines is the universal protocol that you don't have to understand how to talk to a specific MCP server, while you could rely on the universal protocol to have your agent or large language model to talk to the MCP server. What agent skill, if you use scripts though, it would require, for instance, we are using GitHub CLI. It's great for local agents, but your agent skill needs to have that specific knowledge about the server the CLI is interacting with. So it's lacking that universal factor of MCP, which is why people talk about MCP as the USB-C driver. All right, we're going to jump into live demos. By the way, this is a book I wrote about AI agents in Kubernetes. It's available for free to download if you are interested. Let's see, this is my Kubernetes cluster. Just give you a quick overview. I have a bunch of open source projects up running. I have Argo, which Lisa is part of it. I have Agent Gateway also deployed. I have my demo application deployed, which I have a dedicated gateway proxy for my demo application. It has front end and back end. I also have agent eval deployed to help us evaluate the performance of the AI agents. I have Istio ambient service mesh deployed, configured. By the way, I have every pods in the default namespace enrolled as part of ambient, along with K-agent also deployed, and I have everything in K-agent namespace also enrolled as part of Istio ambient. By the way, can you guys see in the back? Is font big enough? Yes? Awesome. I also have KMCP installed. It's a sub-project. Part of K-agent allows you to deploy declaratively MCP server in Kubernetes. And I have a dedicated namespace for MCP, which I use Agent Gateway to mediate traffic coming into the MCP server in this namespace. I have Argo CD MCP server I didn't develop that, it was from the Argo community. And I also have the GitHub MCP server, which I didn't develop either, and it was come from the GitHub community. So if you look at the resources I have, I believe I have the MCP server resources for Argo CD and GitHub. And these are the resources that allows me to deploy. I'm going to show my GitHub here quickly. These are the resources allow me to deploy the GitHub MCP server declaratively through the customer resource that can understood by K-Agent, by the KMCP project in K-Agent. All right, so this is a quick overview of our environment. And last night, I was trying to ask my agent to help me debugging a problem. So I want to show you all the front-end application I have, which I have pull forwarding running on Agent Gateway. So it's just showing you pull forwarding I have Agent Gateway running on 8888. So that's the Agent Gateway for the default namespace. And if I go to 8888 here, and I got route not found because the reason is, by the way, I have an Argo application pushed down with the demo application, and this is configured to use the YAML in this repository, which is the demo repository that's deployed in my cluster. This is also part of my KubeCon keynote demo. If you've been there, you can see I have the front-end application deployed. And I have the backend application deployed, and I also have the gateway, which stood up the agent gateway. And while we are here, the first thing actually I'm going to do here, since I think we have, let's see, we have, let's go to the backend here. We have an event namespace. So I'm going to actually change this to a different event and then push the change through Argo because we're in KCD, Texas now. Actually, I was just in New York City. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and commit that change. And I'm going to use Argo to sync that changes down so we have the right event config for this. So shortly after, you should see, if everything works, you should see the backend refresh through Argo. Hopefully we'll have a new backend up running soon. And in the meanwhile, I also want to show you something I did last night. So our backend is running. By the way, this is running with Ambient, which is why you see pod/1/1, which is all without sidecar. Last night, I basically have, I have 2 AI agents running in the, actually, why don't I ask this? Hello, what K-agent agents do you have running? K-agent agents do you have running? Let's see if we can figure it out. By the way, this is my cursor configuration. I have it configured with 2 MCP server, which is Argo CD and K-agent MCP, and it's all proxy through the agent gateway in the MCP namespace. As you can see, I have 2 agents running. One is the AI reliability agent. This one has the scale, specific scale for creating HTTP route. The second agent I have is without scale. Which essentially, this is my AI agent, by the way. This is the one without the scale. If I comment that out and change the name, that's the one have the scale. So it's asking me, would I like to invoke any of them? Now hop onto K-agent. You can see these are the exact 2 agents I have. And last night, I'm just going to save some time. Last night, I did ask the no scales agent. I asked using that particular agent, create a HTTP route from the front-end service in the default names to the back-end and grab the GitHub repository from the Argo CD demo application. And it did create the PR for me. So I'm going to hop onto that PR, and we're going to review that PR together. Can you tell if there's any problem with this PR? By the way, Agent Gateway, a little bit hint here. Agent Gateway is a very new ground up AI native proxy. And when we started Agent Gateway, the V1 beta 1 of HTTP route actually wasn't active. So there's no reason for us to support it. So it's deprecated now in the Kubernetes community. But because large language model, the data often to be outdated. So the hallucination you were just mentioning, the one without scale, it created this PR, but it's actually wrong because this PR was using a deprecated version of HTTP route, and it happens to be a version that was not supported by Agent Gateway. So if I push this PR, merge it, it actually would not create the correct route for me. So I just want to show you this. And through agent eval, you can see this is the prompt I ask from Cursor as a user, and you can see what exactly happens with this. The tools, the MCP tools from the AIRE no scales gets involved with getting Kubernetes resource and resource YAML, create the branch, and create the pull request, right? So that's exactly what's happening last night with that PR. But this is not exactly right. So what I'm going to do is actually going to close this PR and instead of merge it, because I don't think it's the right PR. And this is also why you should never trust your agent. So I'm going to go ahead, delete that pull request along with the branch. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask the other agent to see if it can generate the PR correctly. All right, let's see if we can do this. So the same prompt, exactly the same prompt. What we're going to do is we're going to ask the AI agent with the scale to say, can you create the HTTP route? Can you generate a PR? So we're going to hit enter here. And finger crossed, hopefully the Wi-Fi here is good. And hopefully, there's no hallucination. We can get the PR created. Okay, I have approval, so I do want to invoke that. This is a pretty nice flow with AI agents. Sometimes it asks you whether you do want to invoke this MCP tools. By the way, I expose agents as MCP server, which is why I can communicate with my AI agents, not only in K-agent, but also in IDE like Cursor or VS Code or Cloud Code, which is super powerful. And I'm using the Sonnet model here with Cursor. All right, it has a pull request created, and let's review the pull request together. All right, finger crossed. I think it has the right version. It's version 1, and it's from the Agent Gateway proxy to the front end, which I think it's on port 80. What do you all think? Yes? Let's do it, hopefully. All right, so what we're going to do together is we're going to try to merge this and see if it works. And let's go ahead and merge that. How much time do I have? 6 minutes? All right, perfect. All right, once it's merged, what else do we need to do? We're going to use Argo to sync that down. By the way, I can also use the Argo MCP server and use my cursor to drive that flow, but this is faster than me typing. So, all right, so we got the routes synced, finger crossed. Now if I go to the application, all right, we got our application running. I don't have a zone though, because this is very close to the airport. I don't want you all to worry about permits for me, but I'm going to connect to my camera here, if I can get it working. All right. All right. All right, and I'm going to try to put you all on the stage. What we're going to do is analyze engagement on both sides. So I want you to at least be engaged. And we're going to capture a picture on this side. And maybe a little bit more engagement on this side. Yeah? All right. And then we can see if... So what do you think? Which one is going to win? You want yourself to win, right? All right, so while this is being analyzed, I'm using a model called Quinn. So the model Quinn is pretty accurate. It's a video model of Quinn. It's open source, running locally on my machine with a llama. It's very accurate in my opinion, but it's a little bit slower, which makes sense. Sometimes, you want good result, it takes a little bit.
Photo 2 is more engaging because audience members display enthusiastic smiles and engaged body language, reflecting high levels of participation and excitement.
All right, what do you think? It is pretty accurate, right? All right, so just show you quickly what's actually happening here. Oh, I better get this working. This didn't work in my keynote, so I want to see this working too. Well, it's my application. All right, we're gonna hit this. Better working, so we can have your picture in my GitHub repository. All right, let's see if it works. All right, it works. So you can find out your picture if you need it. Pull request 51, and it's right here. All right. That didn't work in my KubeCon demo, so I'm glad it works now. All right. All right, let's hop into Kayali here just to help you visualize what's actually going on here. If I can do this a little bit bigger. So what we have seen is through Agent Gateway, we were able to reach out to our front-end application, which is the UI, which calls the back-end application to process the analysis of our image with Quinn. And through Agent Gateway, we were able to access MCP server, GitHub MCP server. We didn't call Argo, but it could be done as well. Also through Agent Gateway, we were able to access our AI agents with K-Agent. And let me change this to last 10 minutes or 30 minutes, because I think the graph is going to be a little bit more interesting. All right, let me make this bigger. So yeah, that's the same flow. By the way, every single connection is secure with mutual TLS because I'm running everything in ambient. And also because I'm running everything in ambient, I got this nice observability as well. So you can see this is my AIRE agent. That's what's doing the work. And it's also proxy through Agent Gateway. All right, and if you click on any of the connection here, you can see all the identity are granted through SPIFFE, which is also a CNCF project, graduated project, and all the communication are secure with mutual TLS. All right, I think I'm running almost out of time, but all I want to see is the difference between the agents with skills is performing a lot better. And I mean, there are multiple ways to improve your performance accuracy of your agents. I think argument with agent skill is one way. There are models, different models you can play with. There are prompts you can play with, but what I have shown is with the same prompt, with the same model, having agent skill to create the HTTP route really helps a lot. By the way, if you go to K-Agent here, you can see all the communication also here, in addition to cursor, and you can see all the tools here, and you can also see this is where I config the tools, and also where I config the agent scale. So the agent scale can be a Docker image. It can also be a GitHub repository with SHA. All right, with that, I'm going to wrap out with my talk. I want to thank you for attending, and you can find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. I will be around too if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lin. I have a quick question.
Oh yeah,
As a
please.
developer, I noticed you were using Cursor. Do you see a big difference between like Claude Code, CLI or Cursor? Why did you choose that one?
That's great. The reason I use Cursor, though, is I like this view in together. But I think with Cloud Code, you can also configure with Visual Studio Code with Cloud Code. And also, one of the reasons is also I paid for subscription for Cursor, my employer pays. And also with Cursor, you can actually access to the Cloud Code model to Opus 4.7, so you can do the best of worlds. By the way, Opus 4.7 recently is super slow, so.
And also super expensive.
Yeah, super expensive. Yeah, so I think having the right IDE, I like the Visual Studio Code look and feel, which Cursor have, and the flexibility to allow me to select different model, which is super powerful.